Yo, what's going on YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the Vancouver Canucks post Bo Horvat trade. What is next? I think the dominoes will fall pretty quickly over there in Vancouver, so we're going to take a look at that today. So, the Vancouver Canucks parted with their captain last week, Bo Horvat. So, what's next? Because now you're looking at a situation where you have a couple of guys that are going to be on the radar of teams, pending UFAs, and guys that you just maybe want to just get out under from their contracts. So, the three guys that I'm looking at today, and none of them happen to be Brock Besser, which is interesting. But the three names I would really keep an eye on ahead of the deadline for the Vancouver Canucks are Luke Schenn, Connor Garland, and Thatcher Demko. Now, I also have my predictions for where I think they can end up getting traded to as well. So, Luke Schenn's on the final year of his deal in Vancouver. He's done this numerous times where he leaves Vancouver, goes to Tampa, and then comes back to Vancouver. Funny enough, Luke Schenn is being tied to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I would expect the Oilers to also show a genuine amount of interest in Schenn as well. Luke Schenn is going to be actually a pretty good asset. I think he's a guy that can garner a first-round pick, and that might be it, but he could give you that. It might even end up being a second or third-round pick because of how deep this year's draft is. Bless you. But Luke Schenn is a very good player, and a guy that I think Tampa would really love to have back if they can make it work. And that's part of the salary side of things, which now that Vancouver's freed up a little bit of cap space, they might be able to retain some of that salary on Luke Schenn to make that deal a little bit sweeter for a team like Tampa or the Oilers. Connor Garland. Connor Garland's an interesting one, but I also have him going to the Sun. What is it? The Sunshine State? I think that's what it is. You guys always give me a hard time when I say the wrong one, and sometimes I do it kind of purposely because I know you guys get pissed off. But nonetheless, Connor Garland to the Florida Panthers. You may be saying to yourself, what? So here's my thought. So Connor Garland right now doesn't have a great contract in Vancouver. What if there was a way that the Panthers, who are looking to move on from guys like Sam Bennett or Sam Reinhart, there was a way they could do some sort of hockey deal, right? A hockey trade. And I think that's what you're looking at if Connor Garland were to ever end up going to the Florida Panthers. But with Anthony Duclair out for the remainder of this season, there is that sense that the Panthers would probably like to add another scoring threat. And depending on how the playoff picture is, maybe a little closer to the deadline, maybe the Panthers are willing to make that kind of move. Thatcher Demko. Thatcher Demko is definitely the biggest name on this list, and we've heard some recent reports here that the Canucks are exploring the opportunity of trading the goaltender they just signed to an extension, I believe, a year or two ago. Thatcher Demko's name has been tied all over the league, and you have to expect the biggest one of those many is the Los Angeles Kings. This is a Kings team that looks destined for a playoff run, minus the whole goalie thing. They don't have a true goaltender. And I think if you bring in a guy like Demko down there to Hollywood, I think the LA Kings have a legitimate shot. They also have the assets that I think that the Canucks would like in return. They have the first round picks, the second round picks, the prospects, a couple of good defensive prospects that maybe the Canucks can capitalize on. That's kind of what you're looking at for a Demko deal. The LA Kings are really the team I think is probably on the forefront. As Pittsburgh still has Jarry and DeSmith, I do wonder if Demko could be a fit there in Pittsburgh. I know they've kind of wanted to bring in Gibson from Anaheim, but Demko's another name to keep an eye on here as well. That's kind of the scenario we're looking at here. Honestly, I think that all three of these guys are, for varying degrees of value, pretty good players, and I think that the Canucks will try to garner some kind of value for them. We've kind of seen Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford make the let's sell this guy off for assets deal with Bo Horvat, and I think we'll see something similar to that with Luke Schenn, but I do think the Canucks would like to get better for next season. Meaning, if they were to make a trade for a Connor Garland or a Demko, maybe there's a way they can get a defenseman in return, as you know, to bolster up that blue line, or bring in a top 6 scoring player like they did even with the Islanders trade with Beauvillier. He's going to jump into the top 6 right away for the Canucks. So, in that sense, the Canucks are trying to get better while at the same time also getting ready for the future. Overall, I think the Canucks are a really interesting team to watch at this deadline because a lot of names will be thrown out there. Tyler Myers, if he doesn't get bought out this summer. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, same thing. Depends on if teams are interested in those guys. I think the Canucks will be doing a wholesale at this year's deadline to see what they can do. As crazy as this sounds, don't be shocked if we start to hear things about Anthony Beauvillier potentially going to Montreal or Ottawa or something like that, because Beauvillier's name has been tied to the Montreal Canadiens for a very long time. And that would be a real interesting one. And that was, I think, back in the day when the Islanders looked at Josh Anderson in the beginning of this season and last offseason. So Anthony Beauvillier is not a guarantee he stays in Vancouver for the rest of his 2 years with that contract. So keep an eye on that as well. Don't rule out that possibility. Guys, let me know what you guys think down below. Leave some mock trades. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next time.